everybody, happy Wind Down Wednesday. This week I finally got my life together. I have my wine, in quotation marks, for my wind down. This is a blueberry, hey, how are you? Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. This is a blueberry kombucha mimosa. There's absolutely no alcohol in it. There's no champagne, but there's kombucha, so close enough. And I think this will be my Wind Down Wednesday drink. So yeah, this week has been good. I feel energized. I feel productive. I'm excited to discuss Far Sector with today's guest. Oh, hey Kayla, how are you? Say something in the chat. Let us. Kayla is my social media manager. She keeps the Sistah Scifi Instagram and Facebook hella active and on point. KSW social media done right. Hey, Dr. Monique. So I really enjoy these Wind Down Wednesdays. My week has been good. This weekend I went to some hot springs in Northern California. This morning I woke up early and did some indoor rock climbing. So 2022 is all about ease and being active. So how has people's week and Wednesday been so far? And as we approach the 5 o'clock hour and let people get the notifications that we're live, I'm playing Take a Bite by Janelle Monáe. It seems super relevant and on brand to discuss Far Sector because Joe reminds me of Janelle Monáe, and I think that's on purpose. But we'll talk more about that when Devlin is online. So how's people's week been? Let me know in the chat. And I'm giving out time to type, because I imagine that takes some time. Oh, this is so fascinating. Did anybody do something fun this week? Did anybody finish any books this week or start a new book this week? Hey, Regina Renee. Oh, I see that rough. I hear that. Hopefully, one good thing, you're more than halfway through the week. So you're closer to the weekend than you are to Monday. So even though it's a rough week, it's almost over. And hopefully next week will be better. How's other people's, and I'm glad you're here to kind of at least round out your Wednesday. How's other people's week been? And I'm just boogieing while I wait for y'all to drop comments in the chat box. Hey, I think it's Propaganda Angie. Hi, how are you? I'm glad you had a productive week, and 2, I'm glad you got your order. I know that means you did not order a copy of Black Sci-Fi short stories. Those went out today. So if you ordered that and you're like, where's my order? Those went out today. We got them yesterday. We mailed them out today. Yay, I'm glad the music helps. And yay, I'm glad you're getting through Propaganda Angie. And Dr. Monique, tell us more about your productive week. Love to hear more. And yeah, as we wait for the next 60 seconds for Devlin to join, and we can start discussing Far Sector. Question for y'all out there: who has read? Oh wait, okay. Before I go to that, Regina Renee, I finished the Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois and started the Broken Kingdoms. Yay! I'll have to text you offline, like, how was Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois? Did you enjoy that? What inspired you to read it? And I enjoyed the whole Inheritance trilogy. It was the first thing I read by N.K. Jemisin. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I loved the gods and the goddesses and the fantasy and everything. Yeah. Yay! So, and Takia agrees. She also thinks that Broken Kingdoms is so good. Yeah, Regina Renee, I saw that in the WhatsApp that you're finally published. Yay! Hopefully we can schedule like a virtual celebration or something like that. I'm having a hard time scheduling anything. I'm actually in 2 virtual events right now, but I can be 100% focused. Hey, your royal flyness. Also says that Broken Kingdom is so. Yeah, I guess I'll have to have a guest online to talk about Broken Kingdoms and the Heritage Trilogy, which I loved. I love so much. Nanodot for the win. I spent a lot of time this weekend speaking about Nanodot because how could you not? Oh yeah, so this week we are talking about Far Sector. It's a graphic novel published by DC Comics, written by Speak of the Devil and Jemisin. Artwork is by Jamal Campbell, who also does Naomi, which is also a DC comic. You see all my notes, so there are a lot of things to discuss. Devlin, also, I really like this song. So if you're like, wait, I only hear one song, it's on repeat. Regina and Nick say thank you for being happy. Of course we're happy for you. That would be weird if we weren't. So yes, I'm super happy for you. And yeah, we can make that happen. Hey, Octavie, Butler, Slow Read. Hey, Karina, Wrights. Oh, hey, the Black Bisexual. Welcome. I text Devlin to see if he's joining, but it is 5:02, so we will pause the music. Oh man, I was supposed to read that. Oh, you were supposed to. I know. I mean, like, my to-be-read list is so intense. But, I mean, Akata Witch is also really good. So, people also really enjoy it. So, it's okay. You'll read it soon. Okay. So, we're having slight tech issues because he's here. But he doesn't see the live. Okay. All right.
Hey now.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Just got off work.
I hear that. I thought you were supposed to take today off.
They called me in. One of the staff members, because I work in education, so one of the staff members like called out, and yeah.
But you're here now, so
I'm
welcome.
here now.
Yeah, welcome. Regina Renee says the cover of Far Sector makes her really happy. Do you have your copy? It makes me happy too.
No, what's funny is I actually have a DC Infinite access pass, so that's how I read it initially. I ordered a copy. My copy hasn't come in yet, though.
Okay, I thought when we were at the thing.
I bought Naomi.
Okay, I was like,
yeah.
So, I could have swore I handed you like a copy, but yeah, that's Naomi.
I bought Naomi. Actually, I bought it as a gift for my niece because she's in the comics now. So.
Oh yeah, have y'all been watching the show together?
Not yet. We're gonna let a couple of episodes pile up. We're gonna pile up some episodes and binge it some.
Which is good. I think I've only finished like episode 1.
Yeah, I watched the first episode though, and I did like it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping because I just heard CW the channel might get sold, so I'm like a little nervous. We're like, are they gonna cancel shows or are they just gonna like let HBO have it or something like that?
Oh wow, you already. Your Royal Highness says that the show is so good. I'm watching it with the friends and like they're traveling, so I haven't watched it. That's why I've only watched episode 1. But I appreciate like the slow build of the show.
Good pacing.
And it's to read the comic book and then say like, oh, this is how the show is different. And right now I'm appreciating the differences and see how they'll further build that out.
Yeah, well, I've watched most of the Arrowverse CW shows. And, after a couple of seasons, they usually just tend to be like the same kind of, story repackaged or whatever. So that's why I'm excited for Naomi, obviously, because You know, it's black people making it. It's a very cool character. And then I actually got to read some of the comic with my niece, and she was like, I like it. And I'm like, yeah, I really like it. And how powerful she is as a character.
Right. Can you maybe lift up your so we can see you?
I got you.
That okay. Awesome. Yay. Cool. I'm glad your niece is enjoying it. I haven't watched all of Arrowverse, but I watched all of the episodes of Black Lightning and
love Black Lightning too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'm here for Black Lightning. Okay. What you drinking? I was telling everybody I'm drinking my blueberry kombucha mimosa.
I'm drinking local. I believe it's local. Let me see. Since I'm in Washington, I got me a little house wine in a can. And then I got me a little shot of Crown too, just to, you know, just to keep it spicy.
Keeping it spicy. We are here for the keeping it spicy, and it's Wind Down Wednesday, so it makes perfect sense. You don't have to have wine to wind down on Wednesday.
True, very true.
Right. Cool. So sometimes I get really excited and I forget to introduce myself. So let me introduce myself and the show. Hi, I'm Sistah Scifi. I'm CEO and founder of Sistah Scifi. Sistah Scifi is the first Black-owned bookstore focused on science fiction and fantasy. Y'all are here watching Wind Down Wednesdays, where we wind down on a Wednesday. We listen to some music. We talk about some books. Basically, we hang out and be blurs together. Today, I have Devlin. Did I pronounce that 100% correctly?
You did get it right. Most people don't get it right. Okay. Oh, yeah, somebody asked Washington. Yeah, I live in Seattle, Washington. Somebody put in the chat.
They're like, Washington State? Yes, Seattle, Washington, and Washington State.
Yeah, I got to specify, because some people say D.C., and I'm like, oh, nah.
Washington. Yeah, so with Devlin, would you introduce yourself?
My name is Devlin Dinish. I am a screenwriter, comic book writer, and author. I also work in education. I've been writing stuff since I can remember, really. You know what I mean? And of course, I had sports dreams and all that thing, and did that, you know, a little bit of college. And then I was like, okay. Then I ended up going to film school in San Francisco, got my degree, and then I moved to Australia and Fiji for a couple of years and did some random projects. And then I'm back in Seattle now, working education and still writing and creating stuff.
Okay. So your Royal Flyness says, me too. Now there are 10 of us here. And I don't know if you mean 10 of us here in Seattle, but if that's what you mean, right, 10 is a very accurate number. It might be 9.5. So yeah, if you're in Seattle.
Yeah, reach out. I'm for it. Reach out. I need other fellow nerds, man.
Cool. So tell us about your current writing project that you're most excited about.
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that. So I've dropped my first book back in November called Hella Filthy. It's urban fantasy about a character named Corey D, who comes from a long line of werelions, better known as shifters, who are supernatural creatures who were brought over during the transatlantic slave trade. He's considered what they call a lost one, somebody that comes from a long line of werelions but doesn't exhibit any powers. And then one fateful night, he's at a party and something pops off, and then he exhibits some powers and stuff. So currently, I'm writing the sequel called Hella Filthy and the Shiesty Heist, and it comes out May 2022, so soon. Currently, I'm like 3/4 done with it. Okay. It's twice as long as the first book, so which was my plan. I wanted to ease people in the first book and make it like, you know, kind of like a novella size, so you can bite size kind of thing. And then the second one kind of like, okay, you guys are already in it, so I'm pushing them all the way in. So I'm working on that, and then I'm also writing a sci-fi short film with Mind Castle Studios, some friends of mine, and we're going to shoot that probably sometime at the end of the year.
Yay! Sci-fi short films are my favorite short films right now in the moment. And Hella Filthy sounds really exciting, and we'll talk more about that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, talk about Far Sector.
Far Sector's dope, man. So I stumbled upon Far Sector. It wasn't stuff I was looking for or anything. I was just like, oh, yeah. I kind of was funny enough, I was on the DC Infinite place. I'm like, I want to read something with Black people. And then I seen NK on there, and I was like, well, she's writing something? I said, let me see.
You saw it at the airport?
No, the DC Infinite app. It's an app that has all of DC comics. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And so I was just, so I clicked on it. I was cracking up at some of the names, like the Na and the At, and all the names are cracking me up. And her look was dope to me, the hairstyle. Even having been a fan of Green Lantern comics, her look, I might rank it the best look I've seen so far out of the Green Lantern characters. Excuse me, out of the Green Lantern characters. I thought the social commentary, how she explores the human condition.
Because I have to show, this is like what? So it's like Janelle Monáe meets Morpheus in this channel. And I just like, so when we talk about the look, the style, her actual look, the hair is just like amazing. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just had to.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. One of the coolest things, if sticking to style, even when she's resting and relaxing, like her hair's tied up, froze out, like all that attention to detail. You knew a Black woman wrote it because I'll point to the T, even with the dialogue, references, word usage. I also, I think it's issue 3 in the comic, in the regular run, when the protest happens.
Right.
And Jo, she has a flashback to when she was back on Earth and then something happened. And I thought that was a really powerful moment in the comic series. It's kind of, I mean, for the first issue, something happens, but that was the first part of the story where I was just like, oh, so they're going there with it. Right. I didn't know if they was going, because, sometimes studios kind of interfere with, companies interfere with the artist's kind of work when they want to say a message or something. So I was happy they just let the writer just do her thing.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like, it's NK, and NK is pretty, like, after Inheritance trilogy, like the social commentary, like Broken Earth,
right?
Like colorism, classism, environmental issues. She doesn't.
She usually covers it, yeah.
Yeah, and so
I wasn't worried about her. I was worried about DC.
And that's true. So this is my second favorite panel in the comic book. So you see Jo, she's referring to another character, and you see like, oh, you can't really. Can you see it now?
No, I can see it.
Okay, and she's calling another, like she's describing a sedity ass, which is definitely
oh,
in the community.
Another moment I really like is when she's dancing with the counselor. One of the counselors.
Because that thing, I was like, wait.
That was, and then she had to reel herself back in, like, oh, let me chill out. You need to chill out for real, for real.
I did not say. I was like, wait. I didn't even think we liked him. And then they were like, oh, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that surprised me because I wasn't getting that vibe. I wasn't getting that vibe with him, but he was really trying though.
He was in it. So this is that scene where they're dancing, which is interesting because he's a part of a class of people that don't feel any emotions. They talk about that. That reminded me of Equilibrium, the movie. Yes. Wait,
so much.
With Diggs, right?
Yeah, Taye Diggs is like he's not the main villain, but he's like right under the main villain. So,
and it was so fascinating to see Taye Diggs.
Right.
Intense while not having any feelings. I was like, bruh, you're the most emotionally intense.
And just seeing him in a sci-fi joint like that, I was like, Taye?
You're right.
Yes. I was like, all right.
So much. I'm gonna go back and watch that this weekend. That was a good film. So,
which one?
Yeah. Equilibrium.
Oh yeah. I thought you said another movie.
Oh no, I'm still on Equilibrium. I enjoyed that a lot. Okay. Okay. So let us know in the comments if you've watched Equilibrium. Who is your favorite character in Far Sector?
I like Season. I mean, I'm not going to include the main character because that's cheating.
Like, if you say Jo, I mean.
Yeah, no, because I know better. I know better than that. I would probably say Season because I like how she interacts with Jo.
Okay. So I've talked to some friends about it. So when you say how you interact, she interacts with Jo, you mean that friendship? Do you mean the fact that she was caring? Elaborate.
I like how around Season, Jo tends to, you see her most human side. Even though she's human throughout the whole story, it seems like the most That's what I'm looking for. It's her comfort zone, it seems like. When all the crazy going on, she'll go back to her spot or Season's spot, and they'll just be chopping it up. And Season always tells it to her straight. That's another thing.
Straight. I mean,
to an extent.
I started using the word. So Season was definitely Joe's anchor partner, right? Like someplace where she could be safe. She could be 100% her real self.
Right.
Like maybe the structure of it was a bit all over the place, but they were dynamic. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of emotional safety there. Going back to Equilibrium, Tamara says that that's definitely a throwback, and she will be rewatching it as well. But yeah, I appreciated Joe and Season's dynamic. There's some parts where I wanted Season to have Joe's back a little bit more. I was like, yo,
I can see that.
Be her girl. Like, what is this? How do I ask this question without giving it away? I think I can do this. Yeah, do you think Joe and Season would be a healthy couple, and why? Or why not?
I don't. They tried it once.
Yes, before the book, they were like, yeah, we used to.
Yeah. And so that kind of made me realize why their relationship's all over the place, kind of, because it's like, oh, that's why you guys ain't you know. But if they, I think they could work, but then I'm also curious, like, if Season lived on Earth, how their dynamic would be compared to living in the society they live in the story. You know what I mean?
I didn't ask myself that question. Why would their friendship and or romantic connection be different if they were on Earth?
Because, you know, one of the things Season even mentions in the story is how she's jealous of how Joe has control of her emotions, and she knows when to when to be wild and when to like be reserved, or you know what I mean? And that's something Season can't even she can't even comprehend it. She's like, wait, what?
She's like, this connection to your emotions? What is that? I'm like,
control them?
No.
To her, if you got emotions, you're gonna blow up the world. Like, oh no, I can't. So it's one of them things where I'm like, I feel bad for her character. Maybe that's why I like her so much. So I feel so bad for her. I'm like, you want to be this like super personality person, but like in the society you live in, you're not even allowed to. Yeah, you got an illegal drug, which is another interesting thing about it, where people take drugs to feel emotions, which is another like social commentary on our society, right? People do drugs to feel something, and they do like think they need to have it all the time. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, but back to the relationship thing, I just, I think they can work. It'll be a bumpy ride.
I mean, anything worth having takes work. Okay. So to the more interesting question, who is your least favorite character?
I don't like, is it Marth?
Is that the Chancellor?
Yeah, he's kind of off, man. I don't know about this dude. He's kind of, you smell delicious and all that extra stuff. I mean, you need to relax, bro.
Yeah. So, I've discussed it with, so you're the third person I've discussed it with. Oh, outside of book club, right?
Right.
And so one person was like, oh, he's a really complicated character. I was like, really? He's just a good boy. But, but I could see why he was compelling to Joe, particularly on the island and like on the planet, and trying to connect with somebody who also had full access to their emotions, at least for a little bit of time. So yeah, but the logic was so, it's hard to be present with a character like that when he's like already like thinking 1,000 steps ahead. You like, can we be here on Wednesday? He already
he's doing the most. He's always doing the most. So, and I'm not with that, man. You need to relax, buddy.
Right. So yeah. What about the storyline of the AT-ATs? The AI people.
Their names are so interesting. Like that was what was funny. It took some time for me to get used to reading the names, in the book. I'm like, oh, that's their name. I kept having to remind myself, oh, that's the name. Because what's their thing again?
So the AT-ATs.
Are they the ones that eat people, or are they the ones that love the cat memes?
The AT-ATs are the people who love the cat memes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool.
So it's a plant. It's a plant kind of bioorganisms that eat people.
Yeah, okay. Got you. Yeah, I just they're cool. I find it interesting about the surnames they have, and they got like the little family beefs from like before the stuff happened.
Right.
They could do a whole spinoff on them, honestly.
Yes. Like there could be like a lot of spin-off potential, and I think this is a limited run, so I finished it, and I was discussing.
Yeah, there's 12 issues. I haven't read the last issue yet because it released this past year. You can talk about that. I don't mind it. But yeah, there's 12. I know there's 12.
Yeah, because I got it as like the trade copy, which has like
has everything together.
Yeah, but there's like I think it's the only B12. Like, to my understanding,
that's messed up, man.
Yeah, like, that could happen. Like,
I'm like, come on. You couldn't give us a good 20?
Like, what's going on with the ring? Like, there's a lot of like questions. What happens with her and Susan? Like,
I would love to see how Joe does against other lantern color spectrums.
Wait, what?
Like, they got the yellow lanterns of fear. They got.
I didn't. So no, I know because.
Oh, you didn't know. So the Green Lantern. There's other emotional spectrums with lanterns. So you got obviously Green's hope. I mean, it's gonna be willpower. But then they got fear is yellow. Red is anger, and then blue's hope, and they got a couple other ones. And
that. That's so fast.
So
I was like,
that's why when I seen her character, I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait till she gets to scrap some of the bad guys who got rings and stuff like that." But then as I'm reading each issue, I said, "I wonder if this is gonna be like a super continuation thing." And then when I looked it up, it said they're only doing 12. I was like, man.
Where's the rest? So we need to talk to DC. Like, we need at least another 12.
I'm gonna spam them. Their emails.
Because I was like, oh, that's it. It's done. Oh.
I love that her full first name is Sojourner too.
I love it. I was like, I'm here for it. So let's talk about Joe.
Okay.
So she was in the army, had issues. Oh, cheers! I wasn't ready. Was in the army, had issues, then decided to be a cop. And we're like, wait, what? So Tamara says, I really want to know what her capabilities are in this special ring. Me too. Like, she just. So okay. So she's in the army.
Yeah, we'll get to that because I got some.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? She's in the army. Leaves the army, decides to be a cop, and I was like, you a black woman who left the army because of all the issues, and then you decide to become a cop? Like, wait, what?
Yeah, that.
Think about that decision, because I thought that was super fascinating.
Maybe in her head, she was just, and this is me just thinking what the character's thinking, trying to think what the character's thinking. Maybe she felt like, I'm done with the army. I can deal with the police because it's a little looser than the military, but it's still doing something I kind of want to do. She also was a detective, so that's not the same as a beat cop, which is usually what we all be going off of. I think the detective thing was interesting, and then beginning of the book, that was her first murder case. So before then, she hadn't she hadn't had a murder case. She was just now becoming a detective, and then she got sent over, but she got off of the ring and sent over to the far sector to do the work. And that hook to me was like one of the most brilliant things I've read in a while. Where you're like, okay, because at first you think, oh, she's a detective, so she knows how to handle this, because that's what they think. And she was like, nah, I've never done a murder case before.
And I didn't. Yeah, you're right. But that, for some reason, I was like, Joe's the expert here because she was a detective on Earth. I think my Law and Order SVU, where they're solving a murder every episode. I'm like, of course she's, but that's a good call out. So then, going back to Tim's question, she's I guess she's at the force. She goes to the bar, she's drinking. And then this woman, you see her in the lime green, she's like, so you need a job? Which I'm like, who are you? Like, did you know from reading other languages? Because I was like,
so most lanterns get their rings from the stuff I have gotten to read that's Green Lantern stuff. It's always like some random run-up kind of thing, sort of. Or like the ring comes out of nowhere and just chooses the person. Sometimes the ring just chooses you.
It's just like, it's like Thor's hammer. It's like,
that kind of thing. So, for example, when one lantern dies, let's say that Earth's Green Lantern, right? If he were to die, the ring will just float and find the next person that has the will to hold the ring. So that's why the way she got it was interesting. On top of it, she doesn't even have to charge her the same way. Usually you have to charge your ring.
Like in an output?
In a lantern. Like this energy-based lantern. So when I didn't see her charging her ring, she mentions like, I don't have to charge my ring like the other lanterns do. And I was like, huh.
So yeah, because I didn't know that other lanterns actually had to charge the ring in a lantern.
Right.
So I was just frustrated. It's like, why she got this slow charge ring? Like, I want her to have a fast charge ring, but not knowing this is a development because she doesn't have to charge her ring in a lantern. Right.
I mean, the lanterns are pretty much a space police, right? And they have a home base on a planet that's ran by these. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 guardians, and they just kind of like delegate. You're over here.
Oh.
And they also help power the lanterns that power the ring. So yeah, go ahead.
So if there's a continuation, she would most likely go back to like Lantern Planet.
Yeah, it's called Oa. Their planet's called Oa. So yeah, I want to see that interaction, like, because she's also in a section of space that no other lanterns can get to her. So when I read that in the book, I was like, ooh, because in my head, I'm like, ooh, maybe we're going to get some crossovers or some cat. I said, ooh, Sistah's on her own? Okay, cool. This is her story, cool.
All the connection she has is that she is a Green Lantern and she has the ring. Here, we're going to cut everything else.
Somebody made a good point. They said she exhausted herself pretty quickly, and I felt like it was something she could overcome, but they didn't go into it. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It was like, you tell us that she has a special ring, right? And she doesn't charge it the regular way. So I'm like, okay, so what is it based on? And then why can't she use it longer? Can't she get better using it? Can she use it longer somehow by like training or experience? There were some things I wanted them to address and cover, but I realized the story was more so about the detective stuff more so than it was about, the Green Lantern lore per se. She just happened to be a Green Lantern that was on another planet, you know what I mean? And that wasn't necessarily a bad route to go because the world building was really good. I liked the pacing. And they had to do quite a bit of like exposition, but when you're building a world that vast and you're only doing 12 issues, you gotta dump out stuff and explain stuff so we understand everything. So
yeah, so I definitely enjoyed the world building. I enjoyed the murder mystery. I think I need to read it again to understand the solve, but I still enjoyed the murder mystery. I enjoyed the social justice issues. So let's talk about. I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. If you haven't read it, then I think this question will gives away a lot of context, but make you want to read it.
It's okay. What's funny is I plan on rereading it anyway, so you can. Because I have a physical copy coming in the mail. So,
but you probably read to this part. So, Narth has these people kind of making cat memes against their will. Memes against their will.
So
Did you get
funny.
that part? I was like, bro,
It's so random. that it's cat memes that it's like a currency, and I'm just like,
But I was like, when I read that, I was like, really? Cat memes? And I was like, oh, it's like NFTs. And what would be like a wildly
That's a-
popular NFT? Cat memes. Why
That's-
not? I mean,
that's
it
a
could be
good analogy. I didn't even think about that. The cat memes are NFTs.
like, oh, this is when I read, I was like, really? But then
That's funny.
when you look at NFTs, you're like, it's the most random stuff. I'm like, it could be cat memes. So
I mean, look, if you ship us over there, we might be millionaires over there.
like what?
Oh, you need memes? I got videos too. I got videos. I got my own cats.
Right. So yeah, I
But
thought
yeah,
that was
forced labor to make cat memes is one of the craziest things
so crazy.
somebody could make more. I'm just like, it's a wild person.
But then, like the Earth cat memes being more valuable than the memes that they make there because, like,
Of course,
better. I was like,
because they're rare. They're like, you know,
right,
like
rare NFTs. Yeah.
I think you nailed it. Because I don't. Why did I? Yeah, because I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm like, because when I was reading it, well, obviously when I first started reading it, NFTs didn't exist yet. But then even leading up to this, I was just thinking about different stuff in the story. I'm like, and the cat memes is always something that comes in my brain because I just think it's funny. I'm like, but they still be like giving a lot of like expensive stuff just for a cat meme. I'm like, what is it like? And then you just hit us with the NFT. I was like, hey.
But so, like, you're like, NK Jemisin is predicting the future value of NFTs. So you
Listen, maybe I need to stack up on my cat memes real quick. Stack up on them.
Yeah. What else jumped out about to you about the series?
The color.
Oh, let's talk about the color. What do you mean by that?
So when I first opened the first few pages, it was just boom, boom. It was just like mixtures of blues, greens. We gotta have green because Green Lantern, obviously, but greens. I like how they have what's the word I'm looking for? The reds. I almost thought everything was based off mood at first. Right there, like that's gorgeous to me. Like now, a lot of the pages are very busy. A lot of stuff going on these pages, and some readers like that as comic readers, and some are just like that's too much. I thought with the world building, it was perfect, and I like how some of her panels they blend together because of color.
Yeah, this isn't a necessary, but yeah, like there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's some
Right. I've read comics that are black and white. I've read comics that are just kind of generic. And this one, it was always like a feast for the eyes every time I was like looking at a page. And I would spend like 10 minutes looking at a page sometimes, just like detailed stuff in the background, what the aliens look like, reaction faces to certain stuff. Because those are things I think, as a comic reader, when the story's good, sometimes you're trying to get to the next. What's hitting it for?
And so this is kind of like a reaction panel. Like you see Joe's face, just like what in the shenanigans?
I would love to see them do a motion comic for it,
right?
Or even animate it if they can do that too.
Agreed. I think it would be great in any type of adaptation. Yeah. So 100% accurate. And I think for me, that's why I'm super new to comic books because I'm used to reading a book. Like you read the book, you read the words, or like watching television and you're watching the pictures. But with comic books, you're like doing both. And I'm like, I have to read the words. I have to stop. I have to look at the pictures.
Yeah, it's definitely not a speed reading thing.
You can't just read the words. I'm like, I got to look at the facial expression. I got to look at his interaction. I got to look at them interacting together. I have to look at
And you might see a clue.
Right. Of the images and how the gutter is flowing and all that.
Or Easter eggs or like just so many different things you can throw in there. You're just like, oh, Or they might refer to something later in the story, and you're like, did I see that? And you go back to the page before, and you're like, oh, it was right there. How did I not see that? Yeah, so comic reading is very much so, you gotta really pay attention when you're reading comics.
It's an immersive experience. So yeah, it's definitely a different way of reading, right? Which I didn't know until I started reading comics. So
I love them. I love comics. Side note, even though this is not about Far Sector, the new Static Shock run, Static the character. So Static is a character created by Dwayne McDuffie. Who was one of the co-founders of the first Black-owned comic book company called Milestone Comics. That new run that's going on, they just started a new run. It's phenomenal. So far. It's not done yet. So what I read so far, and the art on it is...
Can you, it's Static what?
Just a second. Just a second.
Oh, you left. Okay. So also, I'm not very good at chatting, and so I also, if you are familiar with the comic run, if you could drop the link in the chat, that would be amazing to folks who are watching. That's what I'm trying to do, because I was like, let me try to Google it. I was like, people on the life.
It can be complicated to re-look up because they've tried to reboot the series a few times, and so it's always kind of like which one, you know what I mean? If you just, I'm pretty sure if you go to the DC Comics website, you could probably find it just by typing in Static Shock, and they'll probably have the most recent one up there.
Okay. Okay. I have it.
Somebody said it takes me at least twice as long to read a comic than a novel. Facts. Same for me. I be thinking, oh, it's only a few pages. I'm about to burn through this. No, you ain't.
You don't take your time. Study the whole thing. Yeah, it's a process. There's a lot to take in. So, yeah. And then Tamara says, that's why I like reading comics as an ebook, because you can read one panel at a time. Oh, that is true. That is true. Oh, and thank you. I think this is Everyday Tasha dropped in the link for season 1 of Static. So thank you. I appreciate you. I was on the Wikipedia page, and it would have taken me a while to get there.
All the information up there, just too much.
What else? A really compelling character was what was the? Hold on, I have to go back to the plant guy's name. This guy.
He's on the council, right?
Yes, he's on the council.
Yeah, he's one of the plant people. He be eating people.
I was like, wait, how you got plants to eat people?
Yeah.
I think is that him? Arup Thorn of the Dry Season Thorns. I think that's his name. Yes, that's his name. If I'm reading this, can you?
Kind of.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, that's his name. I thought he was one of the few characters that wasn't trying to hustle something.
He wasn't really swindling. He wasn't.
Right. He was really about the truth and trying to
But they made him seem creepy for us to assume that he was going to do something. And that was a nice little...
Right, with all the...
Right, and then he was talking about how Joe probably tastes good. He said that.
He did, and I'm like...
I was just like, are you about to eat my homegirl? Like, what are you doing, bro?
And then he's like, it's a sign of respect. I was like, you eating...
Yeah, that's what Season said. Season said that's a sign of respect. I'm like, okay.
But I'll be dead. You better respected me straight to death.
You didn't have to just say, you want to eat me, bro. You didn't have to do all that. You could have just said, I respect you, respect what you do. But he was like, nah. But you know what? Joe was asking questions about his people, and he was letting her know, like, this is what it is.
I'm going to be honest with you. Historically, we would have eaten humans, just to let you know. And you're like...
That's wild to hear, man. I don't know how I would have reacted to that one. I would be like, come again?
Yeah, I'm going to take 2 steps to the left now. 6 feet apart.
Because the first one they said to eat people, I was like all people or just certain types? They said, nah. And I like how it's determined on even though it's crazy, like eating people with like great souls or whatever fulfills them. Which is like, it's like some vampire, zombie, like mixture of like, because they feel dead inside, like a zombie, but then when they eat people, they get fulfilled, and that's like a vampire. I said, oh yeah, they did something with this one.
Yeah, they did.
And then before they even met other species, they would eat each other. That's the wildest part to me.
Yeah.
There's some wild stuff in that book, and when I read that, I was like, oh, nah, I can't be in no society like that.
There's a lot going on in the society. It was weird, like the species that Narth and Sin were, they look superhuman, but they had tails and wings. I was like, y'all can fly, like
right. That was a funny moment when she was trying to chase the little the murderer, and then the old lady's like, oh, you look just like my daughter. I was
She's like, can you help me down? That was the sweetest scene.
Yeah, that was a real moment.
I'm here for this comic book.
But it tripped me up because I'm like, but they don't feel emotion. So I'm like, we felt these. That's right. We are Joe in the book, like as the reader, because we have emotions, right? And everybody, we're kind of all we're reacting with her every time something happens. Like, why they do that?
Right. And people are like just going through the motions, reacting. It's like my emotions are real. Why are you?
When she said the coffee tastes like Dookie, that took me out. I was like,
Sid is like, I'll try again. She like, don't stop trying.
No, I'm cool. Like, it's working, but the taste, I'm cool. And then Caesar here with you lucky you can eat food here, because I said, ooh, Joe was like, you right. You right. She said, Dad, don't get picky now.
Right.
I didn't have to make you this because we don't even usually have caffeine and stuff.
So, and there's that. Yeah, that was a cute scene. I mean, you're right. Joe and Caesar, they created like a really accepting space for each other.
In a city that's anything but normal, their relationship was normal.
It was a good representation of normal.
Yeah, I mean, like, right, within the reason, obviously.
Right.
Like, compared to all the other stuff that was going on, I'm like, oh, okay, these guys are.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was still wild, but. First, Joe's assistant was funny, too.
Oh, my God. I love Joe's assistant. I was looking for him when we were talking about the AT-ATs and their names, and then I got distracted. I love Joe's assistant. She's like, you want me to just hop in your ear while you go on this mission? Which sounds crazy, but actually that's what she did. Regina Renee, exactly normalish. I'm here for that. Let's look for a panel with Joe's assistant.
Yeah, there was a lot of sisterhood in there, now that I think about it. In a way.
Elaborate.
So, like, her relationship with Season, right?
Yeah.
And then her assistant.
Yes.
That was a nice little triangle of, you know. It seemed like even though we were talking about like normal within reason, right? She really leaned on those two, and she had a lot of commentary about those two of her, how she did care about them, you know, to an extent. So it was like this, like, because then you'll see her go off and talk about something, and it'll be like, these people are crazy, and then she'll go back to her spot and talk to one of them, like, yeah, you know, they're not too bad, you know, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, she has a bond with these two ladies, and it's like really cool to see.
Right. So this is the sister and Can Hands.
Yes, the cat meme lover.
Yeah. Who's like one of the ats who's very excited about cat memes, as is all of her people. So yeah, it was cute and then just to get a a reality check. So for her to be like you were saying, to talk to her sister, like, so what's really going on in the society? What's really going on in that acts? Like, how do I navigate this? How do I think about that? Was really cool. So yeah.
Badass.
Yeah. So I loved her assistant. She was always down. So
always down and always doing stuff for Joe. Where I'm like, man, how can you not like her?
Right.
She's like, girl, you don't got to pay me. Just give me these memes and we cool. Don't worry about it.
Right. A job as your assistant is enough. Really, I'm only in this for the sweet, sweet vintage cat memes.
There you go. There you go. She said, look, I'll do whatever you want for the memes, man.
Right. So the love of cat memes is super real.
They probably made her rich, honestly.
She's like, I got cat memes for days. So let's go, to the protest scene. Because there's a lot going on in the protest.
Yeah. The whole conversation about, you got the two sides, right?
Yeah, the flashback panels.
Yeah, that hit hard.
Yeah.
That hit hard. That hit real hard. Right when Joe hears Law and Order, she just that neck pop was like Law and Order. And then the flashback hits. And she pops out like, no, we're not having it.
Right.
And seeing the conversation between the two sides was interesting too, about we were fine with emotions. It was the aliens that came in.
Right.
And made us, confuse us to make us think, destroy ourselves and that kind of thing. Let us, be like our old selves by taking this drug, which I found it's a crazy dynamic. You got this set of people who used to really rock with their emotions. And then they were stripped away. They didn't have no say-so. And then they had a drug. Right. It's like they didn't get to vote or choose. It was like, nah, we're not doing emotions no more. And guess what? Our children also cannot be born with emotions.
Which is so crazy that like a decision like that could be made like behind closed walls. Like, so how about this unilaterally? We're just as a society not going to feel emotions. It's like, oh, that's how that happened.
Then what are you doing? Like, trying to fathom living in a place like that is I can't feel nothing.
Like, yeah.
But yeah, the protest seemed like, I like how Joe handled when she said, "Oh, write all your demands down." They never even heard nothing like that before.
Right.
They're like, what? Oh yeah, I'll make sure the council get it. And other side's like, well, they're criminals and I'm just like, Joe's handling this is really good.
Right.
And then the council would have, goddamn Mars. Goddamn, shoot them all. I'm like, come on, man.
And then Mark's sister shows up. Also, I thought I wanted to see more of Mark's sister. Do you remember that character?
Vaguely? Because there wasn't a lot of her.
Yeah, Mark's sister is like running a ship or something like that. Let me try to find the panel.
She's doing her own thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
She's doing her own thing.
I'll have to find it, but it's like early on when they're dancing, Marth mentions that he has a sister. I was like, I bet you the sister would show up, and the sister was like a captain on a ship that kind of was needed to kind of get.
That's another thing that happens in the book. They do a lot of they'll show us something cool, and then we don't see it again.
It's like, oh, where did that go? It's gone. Yeah. It's gonna drive me crazy. So I will, because I know it'll pop up. Because when I was talking about something else, I was like, I can't find it in the book, and it popped up. So yeah, I thought Mar's sister was an interesting character, and I wanted to know more about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll continue to look for that. We have 10 minutes left.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
I'm just talking, and I'm like,
No, it's good. This one that was perfect. And I'm going to reserve like the last 2 or 3 minutes for rapid fire questions. Where I randomly
love rapid fire questions.
Yeah. But before I used to write them down, now I'm doing them off the cuff. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm cool with it.
So tell us in the next 5 to 7 minutes, tell us more about Hella Filthy. Tell us where we can find you, like in the World Wide Webs, what events you have coming up, what's your social media, all that fun stuff.
Okay. So Hella Filthy, I'll repeat the synopsis too. So Hella Filthy is about a character named Corey D, who comes from a long line of werelions, better known as shifters, which are supernatural creatures who were brought over during the transatlantic slave trade. He's known as a lost one, a shifter who comes from a family of shifters, and he doesn't exhibit any powers. Now, usually, historically, you'll learn a little bit in the book. You'll learn more as the story goes on, but without spoilers, lost ones are kind of shunned a little bit. Like, they still get to go to the parties and kick it with the family. They're like, oh, but one fateful night, he goes to a party and he exhibits some interesting things. That's me explaining it without, giving spoilers out. I started world building for originally it was going to be a comic, and it was like this short comic I did. Not the same characters, but the world itself. And then over a few years, I kept adding stuff, and I started reading random different African cultures, lores, different Japanese folklore, different Native American folklore about just different mythology creatures and stuff like that. And then, because I wanted, in the book, you're going to see other cultures. You're going to read about other cultures. So each supernatural creature you'll see in it, a person is supernatural. Whatever they are is based off whatever their ethnicity is based off their own folklore. So I do a lot of reading and research on stuff.
Got it.
The gangs in the story are based on Seattle gangs, but they're not. They're supernatural gangs, so they're not just like, oh, we're Bloods or Crips or whatever it is. It's like, oh, this werelion tribe, and they exhibit these powers because different tribes have different powers of what they do. The inspiration for the story, Octavia Butler.
Yay, we love Octavia Butler.
Frank Herbert, because I'm a big Dune fan.
Okay.
Also, I'm a big Alexander Dumas fan. Count of Monte Cristo, Three Musketeers.
Okay. I knew that, but yeah, okay.
Also, Dwayne McDuffie, who made the character Static. And then just wanting to tell a story, a love letter to the city I'm from originally. And also, urban fantasy is not explored enough genre within the Black community, I don't think. We got urban. There's no fantasy. And so, you can talk about street stuff, but let's make it interesting. Let's, what are the supernatural? Go ahead.
Why wear lions?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. So, I read about a lot of West African mythology, and I noticed that I read some stuff about lions, but it was very, very little. So I thought I could expand on it. You know what I mean? It was something that didn't have enough background where I was like, okay, well, since there's not a lot out there, at least I couldn't find enough backstory on it. I was like, okay, well, I'm about to run with this. For example, the Black Panthers are mentioned in my book. And by day, they're activists. By night, they actually turn into Black Panthers. They shape you. And so they will police their neighborhoods using their supernatural powers. And that gets mentioned in the book. One of my goals is to do a short story spinoff, like a 120-page kind of spinoff about other lore within the history to build up the backstories and stuff like that. Also, there's were-hyenas in my book, and that comes from East African culture, specifically Ethiopian culture, and that's something like it was a surprise. I'm like, oh, we're hyenas, and they're considered like tricksters and that kind of thing. But yeah, werewolves was something I can like build on myself. And you never really seen one before. It was like one of those things I was like, we all know about werewolves, fox witches, and stuff like that.
So is the nature of the change the same? Is it still tied to the? And let me know if you go ask all these questions just by the book.
Oh, you're fine. No, shoot away.
Is it still tied to the moon, or is it a different?
No, it's not. So it's a very natural thing in the Mullein, aka Black community. It's no transformations are normal. They can transform when they want.
Okay.
But there's 3 different main tribes, depending on what your African heritage is, West African heritage is, right? For example, the Mafami are very strong. So they're, usually like very strong. They have semi-accelerated speed. And that's their thing. It's kind of a slight temper. But then you got the Tau, and they're fast. And they can also telepathically speak to other Tau werewolves.
Oh.
Right? But it has to be through consent. But then I have there's stuff in the book that talks about elitist families within, that culture that use a sort of blood magic kind of thing where they can force telepathic you and control the brain. So I do a lot of...
That was inspired a little bit by Octavia Butler. Can you say that? Because when you said that, it reminded me of Pattern Master.
That's a good point. It might have subconsciously did that. Because I know a lot of times I think as writers, people we'll write something like, yeah. And then somebody like, it's kind of like this. You're like, oh. But you could be right. So yeah, there's different. I make the differences distinct with eye colors, powers, personality traits. As I plan on writing 5 books, so I'm on book 2. Book 2, I spread out some of the lore even more. Book 3 is going to be a big crescendo for the first arc, and then I'm going to start a second arc kind of that actually changes the main character because I want to write a Black woman character as well as a lead. So that's a challenge I want to bring to myself as a writer. But yeah, I get to explore a lot of stuff. I learn, which is fun because, as a writer, you got to read stuff. And even if it's fiction, people don't think fiction writers don't. I'm like, we have to research too,
Yeah, research is real. So kudos to you. I'm excited. Okay, so it is 5:58. Time for rapid fire questions. Ready? Okay.
Yep.
First one. Black Nightwing or Luke Cage?
Luke Cage.
Okay. Now it could be slower. Why?
Why?
I'm personally team Black Lightning, but I'm not gonna.
I love Black Lightning, by the way. Luke Cage, he was one of the first comic book characters I ever read.
Okay. So there's context.
Yeah.
Next question. Wait, did I say Black Panther or Black Lightning? I said
Black Lightning.
Okay.
Lightning.
Yeah. So next question. Black Panther or Killmonger?
Ooh. Okay, are we talking about in comic book context or movie context?
How do you want to take it?
If it's comic book context, I'm going with Black Panther, easy.
Okay. I mean, I haven't read the comic book, so I think...
Well, Killmonger in the comics is a piece of work. Well, he was a piece of work in the movies, too, but I liked him more in the movies.
Okay. Storm or Misty Knight?
Ooh, that's a good one. Storm or Misty Knight? I love me some Aurora. I'm gonna go with Misty Knight.
Yeah, she kind of badass.
Yeah, she's unsung, and I gotta have her back because everybody loves Storm, but Storm did so.
With Misty Knight, with her, yeah, and I basing Misty Knight off of the Luke Cage television show.
Yeah, no, she was awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she was awesome.
What's the next question? I think that may be all I God. Oh, and it's 6 o'clock. So perfect. That was that was last question. Yay! So this is so much fun. I hope you had fun. I hope everybody
I had a great time. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. Yeah, this was a blast. So whenever you're free, you want to come back, we're here every Wednesday.
Oh, for sure. What? Once the second book's done, you'll be the first person
No, that
you know
sounds
what I
like
mean? Oh, you can find my book, Hella Filthy, on Amazon or Elliott Bay Book Co. But Amazon's probably the easier thing you can do it on. But yeah.
But Elliott Bay, they have online ordering, right?
They do.
Okay, so let's direct people to Elliott Bay. Not that I don't hate Amazon.
Well, usually, I usually tell people Elliott Bay first, and they're like, "Oh, okay," and then I say Amazon. So, I think people are just lazy and they just want to just click one button, and I understand that accessibility is a thing. So,
but like, if Elliott Bay has online ordering, and they can order it online, so.
Yes, so I have a link for the book in my bio for my IG, which is Devlin, Devlin, and then Dinish, Dinish. All my social media is under my name. I have Facebook and I have IG. I kind of try to keep the social media thing to 2 things and not too many. But yeah, hit me up if you got questions. Hit me up if you want to hang out, talk comic stuff. Hit me up if you just want to have a conversation about anything. I'm always down to talk to people.
Yay. I mean, your Royal Finest is in Seattle, so that's at least one connection.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome sauce. Well, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and the rest
You
of your
too.
week.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
Bye.